as well?
Yeah. So after my 1 year with Jimmy, the BBL, probably for the umpteenth time, rebranded itself. So by that time, obviously, like in Tony's podcast, he said that they'd gone from Sobel, Michael Sobel, to now being at Wembley Arena or the convention. So part of the stipulation, I think, for playing the BBL was you had to have an under 23 team. So it was like for that for the development, because at the time there was such a different. Whereas now it's under 14s, under 16s, under 18s, under 20s. Whereas back in the old days it was under 15s, under 17s, under 19s, seniors. So there was this big gap. So they wanted to create this kind of like development league and whatever. So we entered this league. So then obviously that gave me my opportunity to go back and play for Joe and Tony. And that's where I think I hit my stride. That's where I became the player that I became. I mean, if I was open, I'm shooting the ball, there's no hesitation, making my passes, playing my defense, just playing basketball. And that's where I, as I said, I kind of came into my own. I was the oldest guy there at the time I was there. 21, 22, all them guys were still playing under 19 as well. So, but it was great time. I still remember the first home game we had at Wembley Arena. So we go to the arena, we've got to be given our pass, we walk through the court, and the court was lovely. And you go back and there was like some prefabs at the back, and that was our change room. And in there, because it's a brand new league, there was these sports bags, like Budweiser, and they're all in there waiting. But in the Budweiser bag, it's Budweiser, like four cans of Bud. So I'm like, oh, I've got some beer. So you can imagine what happens next. Joe comes in and he sees like all these 16, 17-year-olds like with these cans of beer. Like, come out the way. Give me that. Give me your bag. Take the bag. Give me your bag. All these just like, what? Like, he looked at me like, no, you're cool. You're right. You're good.
That's hilarious.
So, and then we ended up, so the first year we went unbeaten. We had we won the league, had a 3-team playoff. We played in the middle of the Manchester velodrome, where they do cycling. We played in the middle bit. We played Manchester and Sunderland in the tournament, and we beat them as well. So we won the playoffs as well. Then the next year, we went unbeaten again, but it was too easy. If that makes sense, it was too easy. In the first year, we would just go out and just destroy it. Second year, it was like, we'll play half time. We're up by 10, and then we go to change room. Joe and Tony would give us a bollock, and then we'd just press them and then just again win by 30. So we were 2 years unbeaten at under 22, and then they stopped the league. They closed it down. So then that's when we went to Division 2. So my last game for Towers, as it was my second year. We got to the Division 2 playoff final, and we were playing at the MEN, and we were playing against Worthing. Is it Worthing? I think it was Worthing, and they had Alan Cunningham, Colin Irish, Mike Payne. We had all these old heads, and there's like 18, 19-year-olds on my team. I think we lost by about 7 or 8.
I got to play against Colin Irish as well. I just remember playing like that name. I remember when I finally got to play with Rodney and them lot. There was one game like I got brilliant, and I remember going on the court, and obviously I don't know who's who, but I knew who was who after the game, because at that time I think Colin was more on the down end from his career.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you go on YouTube and like type and look at old British basketball from like the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
No. Because he even played, he played Hackney Men with Joe.
Oh, wow.
He played a couple of games like Hackney Men, because then two were like, to the top.
No way. That is nuts, man. That is nuts. And I've got to play against Alan Cunningham as well. Tall, right?
Yeah.
Really tall, right?
Yeah.
Really tall. And I got to play against him as well. I think that was the last year he played National World.
You got to think, we were playing them when they were probably almost in their 40s or 40s. They were still, and
they were still playing at a very high level. And if you, and as someone who has reached the 40 mark, that is impressive.
Yeah.
That is like when you get to their age and you peep what they actually did, like, it's like there's a bigger appreciation, especially when you know how, the body doesn't do what the body used to do. I'm gonna cry. Oh, you just start saying to you. So that's interesting. All right. So Division 2, you played Division 2. So was the competition better in Division 2? Did all the other teams just come into Division 2? Was there a Division 1?
No. So basically, I think what happened was the organisation, London Towers, made the decision that no, we need to push these guys. So we entered Division 2. There was all this uproar. Oh, we can't have two teams in National League, because obviously we had the BBL team, and we were London Towers too. Oh, we can't have. Now you look at all these things, like Lions have got 2 men's teams and 2 women's teams. So it was kind of the first of that. So we were playing men's teams, just like a regular Division 2 men's team, So we were there for 2 years. I was there for 2 years. So I think we lost to the playoff finals, but I think they've done enough to be, the next season they went to Division 1, and that's when London Towers then moved from Wembley to Division 1. But then I'd already made the decision that I'm going to go and leave now. So the following year I went to Stevenage. They just won Division 1, and I went there the following season.
Nice. So what was it like when you was at Stevenage? Because now you're playing, like, you've gone, in terms of how you've explained your career, you've gone from, from playing for Joe's, you've gone to Jimmy's. After Jimmy's, you had a bit of a break. Then you played Towers, undefeated for 2 years. That is nuts. Then you go to Division 2. Did you do well in Division 2 that year as a team?
Playing for London Towers?
Yeah, when they disbanded the BBL, and then you played.
Yeah, the under 23. We competed. It was just, to me, it was just like playing under 23s. It was still the same opportunity. It was still the same shots that were available. It was just the same. So we're going to play for Stevenage.
Mm-hmm.
They just won the league, but then their sponsor pulled out. So they'd lost all this money. So I rocked up, and it was like we played Division 1 with like 6-7 guys. So that was interesting. It was good fun. It was a good laugh. It was one of the ones where you just rock up and play.
Yeah.
But I remembered one of my first sessions at Stevenage, and this showed the difference from being with Joe and Tony to being somewhere else. Like Jayla was saying about the culture, about there was no difference. Everyone just worked harder for you. It's like what I explain when I'm coaching kids. It's like, you can't get better if I don't push you, and I need you to push me so I can get better. So that was the mentality playing for Tony and Joe. So I'm at Stevenage now. We were playing probably a scrimmage or something. It was like up to 7. But my team lost. So I was like, well, automatically, I'm in automatic called Joe mode. So I walk to the baseline because I'm going to run. I lost, didn't it? I run. You know the drill. You lose, you run. I walk to the baseline. They're like, what are you doing, Paul? We lost. I'm ready to run. No, we don't do that here. I was like, what? You don't run when you lose? So already then in my mind's thinking, my mind's like, these guys don't win. These guys don't want to win. And then you gradually subconsciously your level then starts to wane, because there's no reason what's the point? It's that kind of attitude. What's the point of doing it?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it was interesting. It was in that, we had some good players. We had some really good players, but it was just that whole mindset that kind of threw me. That being ingrained in Tony's and Joe's system since I was like 18, and now I'm 24. I've had that whole period, 8-9 years of you lose, you run, you mess up, you run. Or the thing that really used to annoy me by the time I left, did you ever do your age, the penalty?
Yes.
So imagine now I'm 23 years old, and Joe says 4 times your age, and I'm doing press ups and all that next to like 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds, and I'm 23. I'm like, man, killing me.
Yeah, we've done that once. We've done that once, and I remember you guys were there, the older lot, and I just remember they were extremely upset that we messed up.
Yeah.
And they were so upset. Honestly, I think if Joe wasn't there, a couple of us would have got a couple of clips around that ear. You know what I mean? Because it's like when you do 1 times your age, especially if you're playing hard, and you know how your arms are dead and you got to do it. So yeah, 1 times your age, that's different. All right. So that culture, and this is what we're talking about, how basketball